I'm going to start off by removing these two bolts here that hold the lower bumper lip on, and there are two on each side, so remove these two and then go to the other side, do the same thing. Use a 10 millimeter. There's also one right in the center of the bumper, right there. And then all along the bumper, you'll have these push clips here that you have to remove. Use a trim tool, stick it in there, and pry down on the center. Once the center is popped out, pry on the outer part, and off it comes. Do the same to the remaining 7 push clips. I'm going to push this up and over. That gives me access to these push clips. Well, I thought this was it, but there are actually 2 more, and they're located between the top of the fog light and this black bottom lip here. For these, I couldn't get them from the inside, so I went on the outside and pried the bumper cover down. I'm going to do the same on this side. And off comes the lower part of the bumper. So the next thing you're going to want to do is remove all these clips that stick through the metal bumper. You want to squish them and they will pop through the other side. That's going to remove this red trim piece here, which has to come off in order to get to the bumper support bolts. So grab some needle nose pliers, squeeze these. It's detached from all the clips. With it unclipped, lift it up and pull it out. Before the bumper comes off, you need to disconnect the fog light bulb. That'll be the only thing after you remove the bolts. There we go. If you look along this bumper, you can see there are many 15 millimeter bolts that are going to have to come off in order for the bumper to be removed. So take all those off. I'm going to start on one side and make my way to the other. And pull the bumper right off. To remove this front bumper support, go ahead and remove the rest of the mounting bolts. Remove the bracket. Install the new one. Make sure the surfaces are clean. For the rest of these mounting bolts, you're going to have to remove the tab that's on the old assembly. So pry it out of its spot and now slide this one right on there and start the bolt in. Now reattach the rest of these mounting nuts with their clips. Make sure the nut goes on the inside, not on the outside. I'm going to get these 2 bolts close and I'm going to crack them free just a little bit so that the bracket can move. There we go. Once the bracket can move, I'm going to put the bumper on and line up the bolts for it. Bring your bumper up and over. Line it up. Have a few bolts ready to secure it once it lines up with any of the holes. Okay, go ahead and start in any other bolts. Go ahead and start in any other bolts that line up. All right, with everything lined up, go ahead and give it a push to make sure it's secured where it needs to be. And I'm going to start with this bracket over here, snug them all up. And next I'm going to move to this bracket over here. I did that because this is the bracket that we replaced and it's the only one that has changed. So if I line up everything else that has not changed, this will fall into place. At this point I can come in and tighten up these two bolts that are inside there. I can barely see them, but I can get to them and that will locate the bracket onto the frame exactly where it needs to be. Okay, I'm going to grab a long wrench so I can get some leverage and make sure they're nice and tight. There we go. All right, that's nice and tight. The next thing I'm going to do before I move any further is plug in the fog lamp assemblies again. And now that that's done, I'm going to put this red trim piece back on, line it up with all its clips, and just press it in. Unfortunately, you have to be a little rough with it in order to get the clips to clip in. The next thing I want to do is put this lower lip back on. I'm actually going to start with the center bolt, and hopefully this will prevent this piece from falling. This will hold it up here. And I'm going to also start in the side bolts. Do that on both sides. And go ahead and snug these up. Now take all of your push pins, push them back, and lock them all in. Now with everything reassembled, give it one last look over to make sure everything lines up, and then take it for a road test and make sure you have no weird noises coming from the wheels in case the fender liner is touching or anything like that.